Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. In this video, I'll be doing Where I Went Wrong, UFC 285, Jones versus Gane. So I went 10-4 or 10-14, so another solid card. And yeah, let's just get into the L's. I'll start with the L's and then I'll reflect on the Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane fight, and that'll be the video. So first L of the four was Julian Marquez versus Marc-Andre Barriault. I think what I went wrong with this one, I knew that I predicted or felt that Marquez could, similar. I thought for the most part he could match the pace of Barriault. I don't think he would surpass the pace or be a case, but I thought the pace would be similar. Barriault probably put on a higher pace, but I feel like Marquez would be landing heavier shots. And ultimately, I thought in a scrappy fight, I feel like he would be the one landing heavier shots, and it would turn into a dog fight that he likes. I feel like in later rounds, Barriault would start to fade underneath the power and probably shoot a poor takedown, probably get tapped out or something like that, finished. But I was leaning to that for Marquez. But I think the thing I had to learn from this one is that Barriault, like I say, you gotta be a specialist. Maybe like a solid striker with good takedown defense, then you beat him. Like you finish him. Solid striker with a good takedown defense, you beat him. Or maybe like a grappler, or you could put a heavy grappling pace on him, like Anthony Hernandez did. You beat him case. But you're gonna just kind of just be less technical and kind of try to match him in as far as pace, unless you got like real big knockout power. Even then, I feel like it's kind of a technique thing. Like, you got a technical advantage in the grappling, and you could implement that, then you have success against Andre Barriault. You have a big technical advantage in striking, and you have the ability to keep it on the feet. You have advantage against Barriault. But like I said, you're just a guy that just kind of almost going to end up playing a battle with pacing, or just trying to match the pace and deal more damage. And also, unless you're just at a certain level, I think at a higher level, he will lose those fights. But like at the level right here, you're around roughly the same level. You're just going to try to be a big part that you win the fight is you matching this pace or surpassing this pace. You're going to be a fight he's typically going to beat. So that's what I kind of take away from this fight with Barriault and that L. Marquez is Marquez. I think he can win some scrappy fights that, probably going to be some wars or some lesser fighters. But definitely can look at him as a, fade material going forward. Depending on the matchup, I think in most matches I see going forward, I think I'm going to fade him. But there's definitely matchups that you could probably pick him in, and then you probably get a better value because he's coming off this loss. And I think he's coming off consecutive losses, so value there. Barriault, I think even coming off a win, I think he's still a guy that's liable to lose his next fight for sure. And his next couple fights, can't really see a long UFC career from him. I can see a lot of people still beating him. And I feel like he found a good stylistic matchup for him. Even though I didn't see it, I feel like in hindsight, I see like it was just a good stylistic matchup for him. Yeah, so that's that L, and that's what I take from it. Now the second L was right after that one. It was Viviane Araujo versus Amanda Ribas. And with this one, I think Ribas grappling was just much, just superior grappling, and she mixed it in pretty well and had good control and did good work from that. I think what I could have maybe leaned to more, I think, was that the fact that Ribas was a good bit younger, like almost 6-7 years younger. She did have the better performance against Chookagian, though both of them lost. So she had a better performance in the losing effort between the two against Chookagian. I think she had more success grappling Chookagian. And even though Araujo's wrestling looked pretty solid, improved against the now champion Alexa Grasso, Ribas was overall the better grappler, and she was the better fighter tonight, and was able to really dominate some of these rounds when she was able to get her grappling down. So good win for Ribas. Maybe think I should have leaned to more with age, but I can't feel too bad about that. It was a dog pick, and Araujo did show seemingly look like the better striker. I think she was overall the better striker in this fight still, but Ribas had much more success wrestling her, despite Araujo had like a high 80, 90% takedown defense ratio. So clearly she ain't been in there with too many good grapplers. But no insult to take away from her credentials or her statistics, but Ribas clearly showed that she's a different caliber than the people who have tried to grapple Araujo. So good win for Ribas. Araujo, she started getting further up in age, like could easily become a fade material. But I don't think this fight is necessarily the beginning of that, but it's definitely a sign. But Ribas, I think she could be a problem in this division, especially we've seen Valentina just lose to BJJ, and Ribas has some real solid BJJ. But I feel like her striking got come along much better, and like she's still very chinny. She even got hurt in this fight and stuff. So yeah, stuff to be thinking about that one, but I ain't gonna dwell on that too much. Yeah, so that is what it is. And then third L was Jalen Turner versus Mateusz Gamrot, or Mateusz Gamrot versus Jalen Turner. And it's a very close one. It could have went either way. I thought Jalen Turner would be able to find more success on the feet, be able to establish that time period more on his feet. He had his moments and definitely helped him win the first round. In the third round, I feel like he could have won that one as well. But it was a close fight. It could have went either way. If it went lean one way, I would have been like, oh, I was on that one. But it didn't lean the way I wanted to lean. I wanted Jalen Turner to win. I predicted Jalen Turner to win, but it ended up being a decision. It was no stoppage, was no statement performance, but he definitely showed that he made improvements in his wrestling. I feel like he would beat Frevola now in today's present. If even this fight was even a needed measuring stick to even say that he would beat Frevola, but I feel like he would beat Frevola clearly now and dominate him. Obviously, he would have washed Hooker underneath the cage, would just brushed him underneath the cage, tossed him underneath the cage easily. But yeah, Gamrot showed he still got a pulse in his weight class, and he's not trying to go anywhere anytime soon. But on Turner side, gotta continue to work on that wrestling defense, and so you can have longer periods of striking. Because definitely, the current champion is a wrestler who I feel is overall way better than Gamrot. So hey, it's a measuring stick, and it's something to prove on. It's not the worst L. And I also think maybe, even though he was the one who had a full camp, I feel it can be a big issue to accept the fight with a guy who's that good at wrestling on short notice. So who did short notice affect more? That's up for debate, but at the end of the day, Gamrot won. Am I saying he only won because it was short notice and he had time to train for him? I'm not. I'm just saying we don't know who the short notice benefited more, but at the end of the day, Gamrot won. And that's not even to say, oh, Gamrot benefited more from it. He just won. That's all I'm saying. So that's literally all I'm saying. But yeah, Jalen Turner's still a very bright prospect, but he has definitely worked on that wrestling a lot more, grappling a lot more. And even though he lost one, I still feel like he's still in a position where he's not only going to be getting very tough fights. He's not going to be getting no give-me's. He's going to be getting tough fights after tough fights after tough fight. I think he'll prevail in a lot of these fights, if not all of them, and will get ushered up the weight class again and put into a position. Will usher up the weight class and be eventually put in a position where he can challenge for title or a #1 contender, or a fight that will put him in the #1 contender spot. But good performance from Jalen Turner, just a losing effort. Mateusz Gamrot coming on short notice. Good performance from him to be able to make the fight that close and to win it all on short notice. Solid performance from both guys. But hey, the better guy on night one. It could have went either way, but the judges saw us on way, and that's all that matters. So Gamrot won. I took an L, so that's my third L. And fourth and final L, Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. Yeah, this one, I felt Valentina was fully in the driver's seat, but I felt she was a little bit slower tonight. I don't know what happened, or age is catching her, but I feel like that spinning back kick usually be so fast and so well timed. I don't feel like it was a case of poor timing. I feel like she was just slower. She missed a beat. I don't know if she was sick or she just get age catching up to her, but either way, she looked slower in this one. That spinning back kick usually much faster. But real time, post time, I could see that her setting it up or attempting to draw it was telegraphed in a way. It was a blatant telegraph? No, but it was clear enough that it was slower than usual and easier to read than usual and set up not as well as usual. But nonetheless, Valentina was looking good till she wasn't looking good. Grasso saw opportunity. She evaded the spinning back kick, hopped on her back, choked her out. And what can I really learn from this one? I guess maybe I could have respected Grasso's game a little bit more, but all I could go is based on what I've seen. And she hasn't really proven to be the best grappler. I mean, most dangerous grappler, but hey, she got a submission on Valentina now. And that's definitely putting on notice going forward. She submitted the women's flyweight GOAT. So that's definitely a big feather in cap. But prior to that, she had a real big feather. She submitted Joanne Calderwood. That don't mean much of anything, especially Joanne Wood. Joanne Calderwood might have made something, but Joanne Wood beating her don't really mean a whole lot right now, to be honest. That's no insult. It's just the way it is. But yeah. With that one, I feel they rematch again. I feel like Valentina Shevchenko will win, but she probably definitely would lose to Erin Blanchfield if they fight, and Taila Santos in a rematch, just showing how she lost this one. I feel like she definitely lost a step or two. I don't know if it's just age, lack of motivation, or what it may be, but I feel like she definitely lost a step, and I'm not even trying to be biased and say, oh, my pick was so great. It's just that she lost them. I'm just saying, bias aside, I just feel like she lost a step. It's not even me talking, trying to make myself look good by saying, oh, she lost step. That's the only reason she lost. I feel like visually she lost step. And at the end of the day, better woman won. So this ain't me trying to play revisionist history. But yeah, good good win for Grasso. Valentina Shevchenko is still a monster for a lot of people in the division, but I feel like even if she does win her belt in the rematch, it's not going to be too long before she loses her belt to her next opponent if it's like Taila Santos or Erin Blanchfield. It's most likely going to be Erin Blanchfield. And if you're getting submitted by Grasso, Blanchfield probably going to submit you even quicker. But yeah, it remains to be seen, but it's not too far from happening. And who knows, maybe one of these number one contenders, instead of trying to fight Valentina Shevchenko, they'll end up going there and fighting the actual champion, who is right now Grasso, or another fighter who could potentially be in that picture. But yeah, that's really all my L's right there. 4 L's. Not too bad. I ain't with too low confidence and too high confidence. Too high confidence, I don't like the fact that too high confidence picks loss. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, just keep recalibrating, taking those losses as lessons. So it ain't no loss, it's a lesson. And it's going to keep learning. Like, it's thousands of fighters or hundreds of fighters on the roster. And all I can do is get more familiar with them and make better predictions going forward. Yeah, now look at Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. And yeah, I was I said yeah like 20, 40 times video, but even I underestimated Jones. I picked Jones to win. I said Jones. I picked Jones to win. I said Jones to wins. I picked Jon Jones to win, and he won. I feel like I'm drunk making this video right here. I feel like I'm tired, my eyes red and stuff. I'm definitely tired. It's like 3 in the morning, but anywho, yeah, I picked Jones to win, but I picked decision. I picked a much more lackluster performance. But even like I think in debating somebody on Twitter over this fight, like, so I'm not name dropping or anything or dropping this, dropping that, but it was like I was debating someone on Twitter about this fight or discussing this fight with someone on Twitter. I think another predictor, another better or something. Don't know if he got a YouTube channel or not, but I think he probably at least probably bets a little bit. But yeah, we were talking about how Ciryl Gane or how Jon Jones, whether Jon Jones had lost a step or lack of motivation, etc., etc. But I was really looking into it based off that conversation. Like, my pick didn't change. My pick was Jon Jones. It wasn't changing. At first, it's low confidence, shift to average confidence. Like, you know, before I go wrong. But to pick Jon Jones, that it was never going to change. But as far as just like looking more into the fight and examining Jon Jones, his wrestling actually hadn't declined, like, or maybe it didn't decline at all, but it definitely didn't decline to the degree that people think it did. Like, they feel like, oh, he struggled with Reyes. He's not the same fighter. Getting him down. He struggled with Gustafsson, getting him down. But when you really look at it, Jon Jones has only struggled taking, you know, wrestling maybe like 2 opponents. He got a takedown on DC. He couldn't get control on, but he had a good success taking DC down in especially the first fight. Second fight, not so much, but still had some success there. Glover, I think he went for like 1 or 2 takedowns and got one of them, so it ain't too bad. He picked apart Glover everywhere. But I think in the Gustafsson one and the Reyes one, for the only Reyes fight and the Gustafsson one fight, it could have definitely served him more if he was able to get takedowns. He definitely looked more for those takedowns and, you know, struggled to wrestle those guys. But Gustafsson had historically been a hard guy to wrestle. DC struggled with him. Other guys struggled to wrestle Gustafsson. He also had underrated offensive grappling as well on Gustafsson's side. So underrated offensive grappling, underrated takedown defense. So Gustafsson actually historically and statistically is a hard guy to wrestle. So that's one guy that he struggled with, or one half of the people he struggled with. Then Reyes, you might give a takedowns to questionable people, but he don't give up no more than 1 takedown. And Jon Jones got 2 of them. And most people, they get takedowns, and he just popped right back up. And even Weidman struggle got like 1 real perfectly set up takedown and only counted as a half takedown because Reyes was right on the cage, got back up. And yeah, so the people he did have issues wrestling, everyone has issues wrestling them to this date. So it's not a case that he declined so much he can't wrestle guys because they big and strong. Like, it was never the case. Like, you saw how easily he made Gane look. But like I said, even I was doubting him, like coming off this 3-year layoff and all this stuff. And I think I usually want to pick Jon Jones fights, I'd be picking finishes, a lot of submission finishes, but he doesn't end up going to decision. So, hey, the time I don't pick him to finish, it goes submission. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, he went there with Gane, and people were saying, oh, it's like the stats saying this, stats that saying this. But Gane, as far as all the stuff about Gane's wrestling defense improving, is literally just speculatory. The one time we seen his wrestling tested, he failed, and that was against Ngannou, who's not a wrestler. Then going in now with Jon Jones, and it's supposed to be a new thing. Like, I mean, following lost to Gane, he fought Tai Tuivasa, who's purely a striker, and is, you know, his wrestling beyond garbage. I've seen this man getting schooled by a high schooler freshman in wrestling at AKA, like when he went there for a little bit of time. So his wrestling pretty terrible. And like, so ain't no case no wrestling was good. I mean, he had no case to prove his wrestling improvements. Like, oh, he didn't fight no guy that's like, oh, maybe he fought Blaze and shut all the Blaze takedowns, or held blades to like 10% takedown accuracy and knocked him out or something. Like, it was no case of that. He fought a guy that's literally just a striker. And how you supposed to prove just from one camp or, 1 weekend training with some wrestler, that's not going to improve you. You better off maybe, just find some more smaller name wrestlers or something, some more unknown, some unsungs, and having a coach maybe, hire a wrestling coach that can run you through some technique and get that muscle memory down. But just training with one semi-decent Russian guy ain't going, for a little bit of time, ain't going to patch up every hole you got. And hey, that's probably only going to patch up wrestling. Ain't going to patch up jiu-jitsu as well. And like I said, all the things combined, I just feel like y'all could say, oh, it could be arguing like, oh, Jones is this, Jones is that. But actually, we look at the stats and look at the fights. Jones' wrestling actually held up a lot better than people gave credit to him. They forgot about it. It's like, oh, he struggled with Reyes, he struggled with this. But again, Gustafsson and Reyes are people that are hard to wrestle. As simple as that. And then the Glover fight, he took Glover down when he wanted to, but it was not really his approach to want to wrestle Glover. He did what he wanted to with him. OSP, he took him down when he wanted to at will. When he did want to take him down, he didn't need to take him down. He was picking him apart everywhere. Just established dominance on him. Again, the only two people he struggled to really wrestle through his career had been Reyes and Gustafsson. That's literally just those two people. And again, those are people that are historically hard to wrestle. So this whole narrative of like Jon Jones wrestling declining, it wasn't really a good base behind that, because I can see if Jon Jones started this kind of struggle to take down other fight. Or you can say Santos fight. He didn't really try. I think he went for like maybe 1 or 2 takedowns. He didn't really commit to the takedowns. But again, when Jon Jones really wanted to take down, there's only 2 fights where he struggled or couldn't get them the way he wanted to. And that's, again, the Reyes and Gustafsson fight. Well, Gustafsson won. But yeah, nonetheless, good performance by Jones. And definitely the GOAT now. Maybe with asterisk mark. I know people how they feel like, oh, Jon Jones did this, Jon Jones did that, so he should be disqualified from being a champion. But at the end of the day, you're not the USADA, you're not UFC, and if they allow him to come in here and fight and win, all you can do is watch, look at the accolade stack, man's the GOAT. And he could potentially be the heavyweight GOAT. He come out and beat Stipe, destroy Stipe, and got a win over Ciryl Gane, another great heavyweight as of right now, or a good heavyweight. You got a certified great, the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC. Stephen Miocic, he could beat those 2 back to back, and maybe add Pavlovich or Aspinall or Blades. Then he definitely could be in contention to be the greatest heavyweight of all time, on top of being light heavyweight time, if this plans out well. And so, well, he signed an 8-fight contract, 7 more to go. He could definitely make some waves and be a 2-weight greatest champion of all time. Like the greatest light heavyweight of all time, already set in stone. Probably not going to change for a good number of years. And the heavyweight title, he can shift that up right now and have both of those titles. And that would definitely even boost his legacy up even more. And the people that's coming behind him, the new up-and-coming guys, the young guys that's looking at Jon Jones and want to be better than him, going to get him a tough test or a tough hurdle to overcome, because, or a high benchmark. Because Jon Jones, if he does continue to win and maybe go like on 4 fights, win 4 of those fights in like basically half of that contract, he already really put himself well within that greatest heavyweight of all time. So yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. This stuff I already went beyond where I went wrong. But yeah, that's the video. Jon Jones is great. Went out there and showed that Gane still is very green in the wrestling and grappling department. He exploited him and exposed him and made it look easy. And again, so for this card, I went 10-4 or 10-14. Pretty solid card, but hey, there's more room for improvement. All 3 of my dogs crashed, but hey, let's get some actual dogs next card. Only 1 dog on this card did win, and that was Grouse. I realized it was straight flush favorites, but hopefully next card has more dog picks to pick from, and I'm not even just gonna pick them just to pick them, but like dog picks I can truly get behind for this next card. And yeah, just carry it on to the next and continue this momentum. Once again, still another prediction card above 70% with 71%, 72% for this card. So yeah, 10-4, 10-14. I did pretty well, but dealing with those 2 high confidence picks losing, it shows I still have a lot to improve on. And improvement's only gonna help me. It's only gonna help you. But it's the game, and only can get better and study the tape. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.